Certain sectors to function from 20th of April in order to ease public hardship in the wake of COVID-19 outbreak. We're being joined now by Zorawar Kalra, who's a prominent restaurateur. He is also the managing director of Massive Restaurants. He joins us live. Zorawar, appreciate you joining us this afternoon on this broadcast. First up, I'd like to ask you, what are the biggest concerns that the restaurant industry faces at this point of time on the back of this lockdown extension?
Yeah, hi Chatty, good to be here. I hope you guys are safe and sound. The restaurant industry, along with the aviation and the entire travel and tour industry, has been obviously been the biggest hit. Just to give a little stats, the restaurant industry is actually very, very important to the economy of the country. We employ the second highest amount of human capital in India after agriculture, over 7 million people. And this is just in the organized sector. We contribute 2% of the country's GDP. As you can imagine, it's a very cash flow dependent industry. We depend on monthly revenues to be able to pay off creditors, salaries, rents, and the various costs. Even if a singular month comes in where you have no sales, cash flow gets devastating. It gets devastatingly hit. And not only are the entire year's profits wiped out, but actually your entire survival is at stake. What we're facing right now in the industry is an existential crisis. We have, millions of people to feed. We have rents to pay. We have a lot of fixed costs. And with zero revenue coming in, it's truly, a crisis of epic proportions.
Is there any kind of expectation that you have from the center at this point to give your entire industry the right kind of push that it requires? Because not just you, but there are several other chains, and yours is a rather big chain, but there are certain standalone restaurants as well who would be facing a massive cash crunch in terms of the working capital requirement, jeopardizing the jobs of many who have been employed, and maybe several people also would happen to end up taking pay cuts. Yeah, so absolutely. Like I said, it's an existential crisis. By the time this is over, you'll have more casualties as a result of bankruptcies and the economic slowdown than perhaps even from the virus itself. So it is a very, very serious situation. Like I said, there are a lot of small players, but even the big ones are badly affected. There's no cash flow to be able to maintain survival if the revenues don't come back in. However, the government is doing the best it can. I think among the circumstances, everybody has to understand there's no other option. Social distancing, lockdowns are absolutely imperative to the greater society and the benefit of the greater society. So everybody understands that. However, what we definitely do seek is assistance from the government. And so far, let me again say, the government has been very forthcoming. We've issued some reps and we've given some submissions to the various agency authorities. And what we're looking for is a couple of things. We need, like what's happening in the rest of the world, in a lot of the major countries across the world, the government has announced stimulus packages. I think a stimulus package of that nature is very badly needed for the restaurant industry. Without that, it's going to be the end of the road for a lot of people. And as I said, the bankruptcies and the other economic problems will create, far more casualties. So I think what we most importantly need is to be able to take care of our families, which is our colleagues and our workers. We need assistance from the government in the form of some form of stimulus package that kind of protects us, helps us be able to take care of these people who we consider as an extension of our family. And, we expect help from, the various other parts to be. We expect malls to completely understand the situation, go on a revenue share mode with us. We expect, the agencies to support us. But right now, I think the biggest, most important thing is to make sure that our head stays above water, our families, which is our extension, which is our the various workers that work in our companies, over 7 million of them, they are well taken care of. A stimulus package is the need of the hour right now. Without that, I think it'll be, like I said, the end of the road for a lot of people. So stimulus package is the need of the hour, according to you. And as far as consumer discretionary spends is concerned, will be down at this point. Any concerns on that front as well, and any kind of changes in terms of the dine-out experience once this lockdown ends?
Yeah. So we're definitely expecting stormy waters ahead. As we've seen from when China walked out of the lockdown, you saw retail pick up very slowly. They're at about 25% of original numbers.
let me just put it this way, that if we're at 25% of original numbers before the lockdown, then it's going to be a bloodbath in the industry. So definitely consumer spending patterns will change. It's totally to be understandable. If you ask me, I myself will be very cautious in going out, and I'll definitely be following all the social distancing and other guidelines set up by the government and the authorities. As you can well imagine, Chethi, and
Sure.
all of us who used to go out a lot and eat a lot out, that frequency will reduce, and it will reduce for at least, we expect the first quarter to be the hardest. We expect the second quarter after the lockdown. So after 3 months of the lockdown finishing, we're expecting a little bit of the numbers to go up, and we expect normalcy. And by the way, when I say normalcy, I'm talking about the new normal. There's not going to be the old normal. There'll be a new normal.
New normal,
and I think that will
right.
be significantly lower. It's going to be significantly lower than what numbers we've been seeing in the past. People going out will reduce. People will be cautious, wary. And I think that's something we kind of have to, accept.
All right. Zorawar, appreciate you joining us on this broadcast with those views.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.